You want to find that drive and focus that has you locked in and on fire every single day? My book, The Mirror Motivation, will do it for you. I bought a copy for you. You take care of the shipping. The book is free. Click the link down there. I got you.
Dre all day.
It really does get no better than where you are presently tuned in to the show, where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, we give you a little bit more. The personal initiative. This is a lot more. It moves you to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Putting all this together, you get the mindset, the method, the podcast, the book, known as Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic is every single job, any job you could be involved in, at least any job that matters, any job that's producing some outcome, some result, some service, some product that has an impact. They all require a grind. They all require you to put some time in. They're all going to require some effort that you have to put in, and they're all going to require some moments, some instances, some situations where you might not quite feel like it. There's a grind to everything that you're going to be doing. That's what we're talking about here today. And all of us have heard of someone advising that you follow your passion in life, or figure out what you're passionate about, then find a way to maybe make a living from doing that, maybe finding the things that you're excited to work at, or maybe where things come easy to you or easier to you than it does to others. All of these are topics that I have touched on myself here on this show. And if you haven't heard all the episodes, 1,200 plus episodes of this podcast, I suggest you go to workonmygame.com/game groups. You can get access to everything that has been shared here on this podcast, plus a whole lot more. We'll get to that later. But even though I've touched on all of these topics, let's not begin to believe that means that when you find that right thing, whatever the right thing is going to be for you, that does not mean that everything's just going to be easy for you and it will never be a grind. There'll never be a time when you really have to push yourself. You're really taxing yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially, just to get to where you want to get to. There is a grind in everything eventually. There will eventually be a grind in everything you're doing. Even the things that seem to come naturally to you, the things that seem to come easily to you, the things that just seems to flow. Like, this is just too easy. It's not always going to be too easy. I don't care what it is. I don't care how good you are, how well you had a situation set up in your favor. There will be a grind in everything you do, simply because life is always moving. Things are always changing. So even if everything is set up perfectly for you now and is working great for you now, that doesn't mean it's going to stay like that. Actually, I can guarantee you that it's not going to stay like that. So even if everything's been great to this point for you, understand that the grind is coming. So you need to listen to this. And those of you who are in the midst of the grind right now, and you're banging your head against a wall because things are not working in your favor, I made this one for you. So listen closely, take notes. Point number one, today's topic again is every job that matters, every job that is producing some type of impact for the betterment of the people is going to require a grind. Point number one, the grind is, let me define it. These are the days when you don't quite feel like doing it, whatever it is. You don't feel like doing that work, but you have to do the work. At least if you're going to keep that job and that job is going to keep producing, you have to do it even though you don't feel like it. There will be, guaranteed, there will be days like this when things are not looking positive for you in any way. Nothing's working. Like, man, this is not working. This is not working over here. This thing, I could always at least look to this and know it was something positive. That's not working either. There are going to be days like this when every aspect of what you're doing, every aspect of your job or your work, every aspect of your career is just nothing's hitting. Nothing is going in the right direction. It seems like all the momentum is going negatively for you, and you got to deal with it. All right, you got to live in that, and you got to figure out what to do in that situation. Everything you try, nothing's working. Everything you try just makes things worse. All right, you're going to have these days. If you had them before, understand you may have them again. Hopefully not too often, not for too long, but you will have them again. If you've never had them before, these days are on the way, not because I'm hoping that they happen to you, but because this is just the natural ebb and flow. This is a natural cycle of how things work in life, period. So anything that you do as a part of being alive, this is going to happen. All right, this is just part of the natural flow of things. This is part of the game, and it should be expected. You should expect this. And the reason why I'm telling you to expect it is not so that you go to bed dreaming about tomorrow being a day where nothing's working. I'm telling you to expect it so that when it does happen, even though you may not be thinking about it nor hoping for it, you understand that you remember that I told you this, and you understand that this is part of the game. The reason why I'm telling you this, because many people, when they hit these grind moments in their business, in their careers, in their relationships, even in anything that they're doing, they usually start looking for the exits. You know anyone like that? As soon as they hit that grind moment when things are not going so easily anymore, all of a sudden they're looking for the exit. All of a sudden they're looking for an escape route. They're looking for a way out. They're looking to change the whole situation and throw everything out, throw the baby out with the bathwater, simply because things are not working as well as they were working the day before, they were a year before, or as easily as that person maybe thought things were going to be going. I want you to expect the grind moments, the grind periods in life and business and a career to happen, so that when they do, you understand, like, okay, this is just part of the game. This is not a moment to hit the panic button. We don't need to break the glass. This is not an emergency. We just need to keep going. This is part of what we signed up for. Understand that. Point number 2. Today's topic is every job requires a grind. Dealing with the grind, ladies and gentlemen, is a test of your mental toughness. It does not necessarily mean that something is wrong with what you're doing, or with you personally, or with the resources that you are utilizing, or the people who are around you, or that anyone's trying to sabotage you. When you hit the grind, it doesn't mean any of those things are happening. It just means this is the way that things are going, and it's a test of your mental toughness. And actually understanding that is not any of those external things or even a problem with you personally. All of this is also a challenge of your mental toughness. Because see, one of the things about mental toughness is when a situation is not going the way that you want it to go, where do you point the finger? Do you point the finger at the people who are not doing what they're supposed to do? Do you point the finger at your teammates or coworkers or bosses or employees or your significant others or your kids or your family members or the people in the neighborhood or the haters or the media or your customers or your prospects, would-be customers who just aren't buying anything? Where are you pointing the finger? Are you pointing it externally at someone else, or are you pointing it internally? You're pointing the finger at the mirror, so you're looking at yourself. I did an episode on this not too long ago. We talked about the window and the mirror. In a position of leadership, the leaders never point the finger out the window, because out the window, you're pointing it at something other than yourself. Leader always points the finger back at themselves, even if somebody else really screwed up and really messed up the whole situation. And they're the real reason. If anyone objectively looked at it, that person is the real reason why the situation is what it is. The leader still always brings it back to themselves, because we can't control other people. Another person might just mess up. That just might happen sometimes. Another person will mess up. You guys remember, if you're basketball fans watching the 2018 NBA Finals, remember what happened in Game 1? The Cleveland Cavaliers had a chance to actually win that game on the road in Golden State when they were heavy underdogs in that series. LeBron James had 51 points in the first game of the series. He was just putting on a show. And they had a chance to win the game right there at the end. LeBron James' teammate, a guy named J.R. Smith, who is not close to LeBron James's talent level or accomplishment level. He's a good enough player. He's in the NBA after all, but he ain't LeBron James. He had the ball right next to the basket with a few seconds left in regulation. The game was tied. J.R. Smith did not shoot the layup that any basketball player in their sane mind would have shot. J.R. Smith, not knowing what the score of the game was. This is Game 1 of NBA Finals. He didn't know the score. So he dribbles the ball away from the basket, doesn't shoot the ball. The game is tied. Cavaliers have to go into overtime against the Golden State Warriors, who were just overall the better team, had more talent, better players overall. And the Warriors ended up beating them in overtime, sweeping them 4-0. That was the Cavaliers' best chance to gain some momentum in that series. And it was blown, not because their best player, LeBron James, messed up, but because this role player, J.R. Smith, messed up. But LeBron James couldn't blame J.R. Smith for that, even though you could blame J.R. Smith, but he couldn't blame J.R. Smith. Why? Because he was the leader. See, if J.R. Smith is the problem, well, listen, J.R. Smith might mess up again the next game. Then what you going to do? He might mess up the game after that. You can't keep pointing the finger at somebody else every single time. If you're the leader, if you're the one on top, if you're the one in charge, and to everyone who's listening to this, you don't have to be an athlete playing a team sport. You don't even have to be part of a team in any part of your life. You're a leader of yourself. You are always pointing the finger back to yourself. Even when somebody else messed up, what could I have done so that we wouldn't be in a situation where somebody else could have messed up my opportunity? That's the question you got to ask yourself. This is all a question of your mental toughness when you're dealing with the grind. Any moment where things are not going the way that you want them, but you still got to show up to work. Are you mentally tough enough to continue staying disciplined and confident even when things are not working? And mental toughness is also a question of what we talked about a couple days ago here. What's stronger, you or the circumstance? Is the circumstance going to beat you down and beat you into submission, or are you going to beat the circumstance into submission? I got a hint for you. It's going to be one or the other. There's no tie. All right, you and the circumstance are not going to coexist. One of you is going to win. Mental toughness is a question of which one is it going to be. If you have a high level of mental toughness, you'll win. If you have a low level of mental toughness, you will lose. It's just as simple as that. So this is the question you're asking yourself next time you face one of those grind moments or one of those grind days. Can I keep going here? Am I pointing the finger back at myself? Am I figuring out a way to take the responsibility for whatever's going on? Because if you don't accept the responsibility, if you don't place the responsibility on yourself, again, you have no control over the circumstance. And mental toughness is about taking control of the circumstance. A leader always takes control of the circumstance or finds a way to take control of it, even if they weren't involved in whatever screw up caused the situation to get to where it's at. Point number 3. Today's topic is every single job requires a grind. Many people have the false belief. They come to anything they do, a job, a career, playing a sport, building a business, a relationship. They come to it with this false belief of ease, that they think things are just going to be easy. Maybe because things have been easy up until that point for them. Maybe because things were easy at the last place they were at. Maybe because they believe they have the resources and the talent to make things easy. It'll be easy for them, even though it wasn't easy for anyone else. They're like, well, look, I'm so much better than everybody else. It'll be easy for me, even though it wasn't easy for all y'all over there. Many people show up with this false belief of ease. And then as soon as things are not easy, whether that is immediately, whether it's the first week, the first year, or 10 years later, as soon as things are not going so easily for that individual, they quit. They're ready to walk away. They're ready to go. They want to swipe left, as we say. They're just swiping to the next one. What's the next opportunity I got? Since obviously this one's not working out. There's a grind here. They don't want to deal with that grind unconsciously, maybe consciously, and they're ready to swipe and go on to the next one. Don't be this person. Especially, this happens to people, especially when they've already built up a habit of things being easy for them, or they have experience of things being easy, or this person is just very talented and they got away with not having to grind. This can happen often when you're moving up in levels. For example, in sports, you come from playing in high school to playing in college. Maybe you were able to breeze by on your talent, just on your natural ability to dominate everyone in high school. And when you get to college, you're teamed up and facing a whole bunch of other people who had the exact same advantages against their opponents at the previous level. Now everybody's pretty much equal. Are you willing to grind? Do you have it in you mentally to put that grind in, even though you might not even be getting the same opportunity now that you were getting back then? Now you got to earn it. Before it was handed to you because you were just so good, it didn't make any sense to not hand it to you. Now you got to earn it because everybody's good enough to have it handed to them. What are you going to do? How are you going to make yourself stand out? When things have been easy for you, or you are used to getting away with not having to grind, understand that when you move up to a new level, or even just step into a new situation, or even the world just moves underneath your feet, the world shifts. So things are different and you can't do things the same way you were doing them before. Do you have it in you mentally to grind, to keep producing the success that you had been producing up to this point, or to keep creating the opportunities that you had been creating up to this point? Do you have it in you? This is a question that you got to answer. Gatorade used to have a commercial where they would show the athlete working out, and then the athlete would be sweating, but they would be sweating whatever color Gatorade they were drinking. And the question would be, is it in you? Do you have it in you? That's the question I'm asking you. And it's a question that you have to ask for yourself, and you have to get an answer. To me, you can't answer. You answer to yourself. In sports, we see athletes these days asking out of their situations earlier and earlier, right? Now, this is not a brand new thing. I've heard some people say, maybe some people of my generation, maybe a few generations older than me, saying that this is a new thing, that these millennials and these Gen Z athletes are asking out. As soon as the situation's not working, they're swiping left, or they're asking for a trade, or they're trying to go to a new team, or they want to team up with somebody else so it'll be easier for them. Now, while all these things are true, it's not a brand new thing. Athletes were asking out and asking for trades and wanting to be out of their situations back in the 2000s and in the 90s as well. One of the main differences is now every athlete can broadcast their desire to leave their situation. Everybody knows about it immediately. Back then, before we had these connected devices, someone could request a trade and nobody even knew that they even requested a trade, so the trade happened. Nobody even knew that this player was trying to get out of there. Maybe there were rumors, but nobody really knew because the player didn't say it. The team didn't announce it. There were no beat reporters trying to get the first tweet out so they can get credit for it. Nowadays, everybody can broadcast their news, so we get it a lot quicker and we can all talk about it. Back then, it wasn't like that. But does it happen more often these days? I think it does, simply because all of us have become more and more used to instant gratification. And that's everyone. That's not an age thing. That's everyone, all ages. We all have gotten more used to instant gratification because it's available to us. Any of you gets bored at any moment, you can just whip out your phone and not be bored all of a sudden, that fast. Back in the 80s, 90s, if we were bored, then we just had to sit our asses there and be bored because there wasn't nothing else to do. There's no device that was providing us instant relief for our boredom immediately. But now we all get this instant gratification. So now, many of us of all age groups, when things hit when that grind moment hits and we don't want to deal with that grind, then we just go find something else. We just go find a different situation. And the thing is, the grass may not always be greener on the other side. It may not be as green as it looks. I mean, we can always look nowadays, right? On these devices, we can look and see what the grass looks like on the other side of the fence. And it may look greener, but as soon as you get over there, it may not be as green as it looked from the outside. You know, sometimes salespeople are good like that. They're able to make it look shiny, but as soon as you get over there, it's not as shiny as you thought it was. Or as soon as you buy it and bring it home, you realize, oh yeah, it is shiny on the outside, but I didn't even pay attention to what was going on the inside. So the grind may cause you to start looking around and deciding, hey, maybe I can go somewhere else where there's not so much of a grind, where it's a little bit easier, where things don't challenge my mental toughness as much. But when you get over there, you may realize that it may challenge you even more than it was before. And eventually, if you are mentally tough enough, if you're disciplined enough, if you have the right type of people around you and you're willing to listen to them, you may eventually, hopefully, you will eventually come to the conclusion that the problem was never the situation. The problem was me. That it was your lack of ability, your lack of willingness, your lack of openness to the grind that caused you to want to get out of a situation when it wasn't the situation. It was just you. So again, the question we are coming back to, what is stronger, you or the circumstance? So let's recap today's topic, which is every single job, every career, every process is going to require a grind period. We have heard about following your passion, finding things you're excited about, doing things that come easier to you than they come to others. These are all things that I've talked about, but let's not believe that even if you do find your passion, things that you're excited about, and things that come more easily to you than they do to others, that still does not mean that you're not going to have to grind. You're still going to have to put that grind in. Point number one, the grind are the days when you don't feel like doing the thing, but you have to do the thing. There will be days like this when things are not looking good for you in any aspect, but this is part of the game. And you should expect it to happen. So when it does happen, not because you're hoping for it, but when it does happen, you realize this does not mean you need to quit. Doesn't mean you need to walk away. Doesn't mean you need to swipe left. It means you need to stay in it because this is part of the game that you're in. And anywhere you go, there you are. You're still going to deal with the exact same thing. You cannot outrun the grind. That's a good one right there. Point number two, dealing with the grind is a test of your mental toughness. Your willingness and ability to continue being disciplined and confident even when things are not working in your favor. And mental toughness is also a question of who is stronger, you or the circumstance that you're facing. And point number three, many people had a false belief of ease, that everything is supposed to come easily to them and just work and just flow for them because of their resources, because of their background, because of their talent, because of their past experience of things being easy. As soon as things become a grind for them, they quit. They're ready to go and find the next opportunity because they were not expecting the grind to happen. They didn't know that the grind was part of the game. But I'm telling you that, so no one listening to this is going to have that problem. And it's not a new thing that we see people just swiping out of a situation wanting to go to a new one. Nowadays, we just know about it more often. But it is more prevalent these days that people are doing it simply because we have all been conditioned to want, expect, and even need on a chemical level instant gratification. We have unconditioned ourselves to deal with the boredom, undeconditioned ourselves from dealing with the grind as much as we used to back when very little of our lives produced instant gratification. Nowadays, we all, every single one of us who's listening to this right now has access to some instant gratification because we all have access to the internet. And the internet can gratify us immediately. You want to read something, you want to listen to something, you want to watch something completely for free. I mean, given that you already paid for the Wi-Fi or the data plan, you got access to it. Instant gratification. You can instantly be entertained right now. There was a time when you couldn't get that. And since we have all been conditioned for this instantaneousness, if that's even a word, it is now, added to the Work on Your Game dictionary, we are not as accustomed or not as willing to dance with the grind as we used to be. But you're not going to have this problem, will you? Now, I got a book that will help you understand this grind really well. It's called Work on Your Game. The subtitle is Using the Pro Athlete Mindset to Dominate Your Game in Business, Sports, and Life. That book is available in all formats. You can get it at workonmygame.com/WOYG for Work on Your Game. If you like audio, of course, we had an audio book available at audible.com, and also the game group. Let's talk about what's going on in the game group. Right now, actually today when I'm recording this, which is not the same day you're listening to this, but we are adding some more categories and more sections to the game group. There's so much stuff in there right now. It's amazing. There are over 1,000 hours of material in the game group membership. What the game group is me taking my best content, all of my best content that I've created over the years. I'm talking video content, audio content, stuff that you heard on this podcast, organizing it by category, categorizing it by dates and times also as well. So it's very easy to find. If there's anything I've ever said on this show that really resonated with you and you want access to it at your fingertips, if you want to hear other related content similar to it, there's something that I mentioned that you're like, man, you mentioned something about this, that, and the third, but you couldn't quite remember what it was, whether it was something I said on the podcast, something I referred to that wasn't a podcast material. Maybe it was a basketball game I referred to, or an article that I read, or a speech that I saw. All of those things are organized and curated into the game group, which is an ever evolving entity. The game group is not just some solid thing that's just going to sit there as it is. It is ever evolving, is always getting better. We're always adding new material to it because, listen, how often does this show come out? We're always adding new material, always adding new wrinkles to it. There are courses that are not available outside of the game group membership that are in the game group membership. There's a whole lot of stuff in there. Let me just put it like that. You can get full information on the game group by going to workonmygame.com/game group. If right now it is available, then there will be a big page up there that shows you everything. You can read through it and see everything you're getting in the game group and how to get started immediately with a free trial. If it is not up yet, then you'll see an alert page where you can just put your email address in and we will let you know as soon as everything is ready. So either way, go to workonmygame.com/game group so you will know or you can get informed as to what the hell is going on in the game group, because that's the place that you're going to want to be. If you want to get all my best stuff, all my best information, everything that is updated, everything that's happening, video, audio, written, whatever you prefer, is going to be there in the game group. Again, at workonmygame.com/game group. Work on your game. Dre all day.